in regular session, and I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, Mayor made the motion, Councilmember Henry seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourned. Good evening, everybody. This is the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona, to be held March 21st, 2023 at 6 p.m. at the Cottonwood Recreation Center. Let's ask our clerk to please take the roll.
Councilmember DeWillis.
Here.
Councilmember Duvernay. Councilmember Henry.
Here.
Councilmember Karat.
Present.
Councilmember Naren.
Here.
Vice Mayor Weldon.
Here.
And Mayor Linsky.
Here, thank you.
Thank you.
Please stand to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, next up is a brief summary of current events by the mayor, city council, and/or city manager. The public body does not propose, discuss, deliberate, or take legal action on any matter brought up during the summary unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. Council members, do we have anything this evening? No? Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. If you live, shop, work, or play in Cottonwood, then you are invited to attend the General Plan Update public meetings. These meetings allow the public to give input and learn about particular topics included in the updated General Plan. The next meetings will be Thursday, March 30th at 6 p.m. and Saturday, April 1st at 10 a.m. For future meeting dates and topics, you can visit cottonwoodaz.gov. The public is also invited to next week's Cottonwood Community Awareness Meeting with our council member Naren on March the 28th at 4 p.m. at the Cottonwood Public Library. These meetings help connect our citizens to the government process. No registration is required to attend. The Cottonwood Police Department and Community Development Department will be hosting Community Safety Information Night on Wednesday, March the 29th at 6 p.m. at the Riverfront Water Reclamation Facility. Come and learn about the important safety tips for your home, such as increased security measures and discussion of carbon monoxide. If you have any questions, please call Anthony at 928-634-5505. The annual Easter Extravaganza is taking place next month on April the 8th at Riverfront Park. All kids up to 8 years old are invited to participate in the Easter egg hunt event, which has been a local favorite for many years. If you have any questions, please contact the Parks and Rec Department at 928-639-3200. And don't forget to sign up for the 2023 Cottonwood Vintage Run happening on Saturday, April 22nd. Registration is now open for the half marathon, 10K, 2 mile, and the untimed half cork 5K fun event. To sign up, please visit runcottonwood.com. And lastly, Verde Valley Sustainability leaders are working to help regional businesses become more sustainable. Meet program leaders in the area, learn about available resources and benefits from financial savings, Meet Vivi Rio at the Advancing Business Sustainability in the Verde Valley workshop on March 30th at the Cottonwood Community Clubhouse. The doors open at 4:30 p.m. Visit vvrio.com to learn more. Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you. Okay, up next is call to the public. This portion of the agenda is set aside for the public to address the council regarding an item that is not listed on the agenda for discussion. However, the council cannot engage in discussion regarding any item that's not officially listed on the agenda for discussion and/or action, and comments are limited to a 3-minute time period. So we have a large crowd again here this evening. We have many folks to get through this evening. You all get 3 minutes. As before, and as always, appreciate your respect. We're going to keep it civil this evening. It doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, or I don't mean to say aisle, which side of this issue you're on. Most are here to speak about a pride event that's coming to Cottonwood, April 8th. So I'll cue you up one by one. You're welcome to stand behind the person that you're speaking after, and then we'll just get through this as efficiently as possible. There are yellow forms available that you can fill out if you'd like to address the council during call to the public. I want to make one thing clear. There's an item under new business about a special event liquor license. I will not be asking for the public to address the council on that item. Just want to make that clear, and I'll explain my reasons when we get to that item. So without further ado, one other thing. Please don't, I do see some new faces, so we don't like applause in here. Folks in the past have just given a thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs in the middle if you're just not sure, okay? That's acceptable to show your support or approval or denial or whatever. But please don't applaud. It interrupts the meeting. We're not making a spectacle up here, okay? We're just trying to get through a public meeting. So please address your comments directly to council. Please do not single out any individual council member. Please do not turn around and address the crowd, right? Please do not ask us any questions because we can't answer any questions, okay? We're just here to hear from you. So if we can follow all those rules, I think everything's gonna be fine, and we're gonna get through this just as quickly as possible, and thank you all for being here. So first up, we have Mr. Kelly Moffitt, followed by Lisa Prachia.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, staff, I'm Kelly Moffitt, and I live here in Cottonwood, Arizona. So I wanted to start off tonight just to ask you a question. I know you're not going to answer me. It's a rhetorical question, but have you done your homework on this issue that's coming up, the drag queen issue on April the 8th? When I ask if you've done your homework, have you looked into Arizona revised statutes? And you have legal representation here tonight. I don't know to what extent you've gone over what A.R.S. has to say about events like this, especially when you're trying to groom children at these events, and that is what is obviously desired. But I'm not going to read statutes to you, but I want to just point out some of the phrases that are included in A.R.S. regarding that are pertinent to this issue. Harmful to minors, and there's a definition there, and it's pretty vague, which is good because it protects minors. What is suitable for minors is covered in A.R.S. What portrays the description or representation in a patently offensive way? What is offensive? And again, it's pertaining to minors. Taken as a whole, does not have serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value for minors. I don't think any of those words apply to the drag queen event that's coming up on April the 8th. Tangible or intangible, including any performance or exhibition, is discussed in A.R.S. All these things are spoken of in a way that is meant to protect children, and actually it speaks of it being against Arizona law. And so I do expect much of what will take place on April the 8th, if the event in fact does occur, that there will be some violations of the law taking place. And it's pretty obvious. It doesn't take an attorney to figure this out. And you've heard from many people over the past 3 meetings. You've heard from parents, you've heard from fathers and moms, and you've heard from grandparents, you've heard from pastors, and everyone's been very respectful to the council. I think you'll agree to that. And really what they've been putting forward is concern. And the concern is for our children, but also just for the soul of our city. We know this town has a soul collectively, and we are concerned that an event like this really offers nothing in the way of redeeming moral value to this town. Only the opposite will apply. So we want to encourage you to reconsider this event. You have different ways you can say no to it. You can say no to it, Mr. Acting City Manager. And it's nothing you're obligated to do, because there's going to be trouble, and the trouble won't be caused by those opposing it. The trouble will come when you hear back from one parent whose child is there at that event against the parent's wishes and against the parent's knowledge, and you won't hear from the parent, you'll hear from the parent's attorney. This event opens up the city to enormous risk to litigation, and I hope you'll consider that, because it's predictable. So
Thank you, Mr.
I guess my
Moffitt.
time is up, thanks.
Ms. Prachia, you're up next, and followed by Jim Ariola.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, and staff. My name is Lisa Prachia, and I'm a Cottonwood resident. My hunch is that the strong drag show opposition that you've seen mystifies some of you. You may be saying to yourself or to others, Come on, people, it's just a costume. If that's you, I wanted to offer an explanation from my point of view. As a Christian, I am called to fight a spiritual battle against evil. And to me, there's nothing more evil than actively sexualizing children. If you haven't heard how the frog is boiled, I'll summarize it for you. There's a saying that goes, if you want to boil a frog without their objection, you put the frog in water and apply a low, consistent flame to the pot. As the water heats, the frog slowly gets cooked without them realizing it. Here is the boiling water frog parallel to children and drag shows. The children are the frogs, and the steady, unrelenting heat is our rapidly declining social values. While the frog's water has been heating for decades, it's now starting to boil. Evidence of that blistering heat includes graphic pornography commonplace in public school libraries, the state encouraging minors through legislation to have irreversible sex change surgeries without parental consent, relabeling pedophiles as minor attractive persons, or MAPS, because some view the term pedophile as being unfairly stigmatizing. Responsible adults, and I use the term loosely, encouraging minors to be entertained by sexually explicit drag show content, the images from which will be seared on their impressionable young minds forever. I could go on, but my time is limited. I believe that there are others in this room who would ask you to turn down the heat that threatens our children's innocence and make future drag shows adults-only entertainment in Cottonwood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Pracchia. Jim Ariola, you're up next, and you'll be followed by Barry Jones.
Good afternoon and good evening. I'd like to thank the council for their time to hear us out, and I'd also like to express my appreciation for our ability to express our views both for and against. I hope that both sides learn a little bit from listening to each other for this event. I don't have a lot to say. I do want to voice my, I'm in favor of this event wholeheartedly, and I hope it will be a fun event. I will point out that men dressing in women in front of children is not new. Bugs Bunny comes to mind among many others, so hopefully people can approach this with an open mind, and thank you again.
Thank you, Mr. Ariola. Barry Jones, you're up next. You'll be followed by Donna O'Daniel.
Honorable Mayor and councilors, I want to speak about a truth that has been known and has been witnessed throughout the millennia about rulers, about those who have authority in the public sphere, which you do. It's encapsulated in a Bible verse that says, "He that ruleth among men must be just, ruling in the fear of God." As a constitutional republic, you are representatives. You represent us, the electorate. And I believe the last several council meetings have revealed that the overwhelming majority of this community opposes not only the event, but the process that has kept the council, has kept this matter off the agenda for the council. Many of us believe that this is an illegal maneuver, keeping it off the agenda. At any rate, I would like to voice again my opposition to the event based on moral truth and based on the fact that we, as I said, we are a constitutional republic. You are our representatives, and you need to rein in the administrative process when it goes against your constituents' wishes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ms. O'Daniel, are you with us this evening? Donna O'Daniel will be followed by Pam James.
Mayor and City Councilors. A March 17, 2023 news article in The Independent was titled, "Arizona Senate Votes to Clamp Down on Drag Shows." All 16 Republican state senators approved two measures that proponents say are designed to outlaw drag shows that can be seen by children by expanding the scope of what kinds of performances must be registered. SB 1028 would create a new category of, quote, adult cabaret performance, close quote. It would prohibit these on public property or anywhere that someone knows or has reason to know it could be viewed by a minor. A companion measure, SB 1030, gets at the issue by defining a, quote, sexually explicit performance, close quote, as any show or entertainment where one or more people entertain an audience of two or more that is, quote, sexually explicit. The intent, according to Senator Anthony Kern, is not to outlaw drag shows. He said, "My goal is to protect children from sexually explicit drag performances, not drag shows themselves." Instead, Kern said he wants to regulate, quote, sexually explicit performances, close quote. And if that includes a drag show, then I prefer to protect Arizona's children. Senator Justine Wadsack of Tucson stated, quote, "Consider drag story hours with men dressed up as women reading to groups of children. You have to ask yourself an important question. Why do grown men want to dress up as women and read to young children? Why not just dress in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt and read to the children?" The answer, Wadsack said, goes to what she contends is sexually grooming our children, which is the motive of these performers. To say that these performers are not targeting children is an absolute lie, she said, because if they weren't targeting children, they would make their shows 18 and over. And Senate President Warren Peterson stated quite clearly, quote, "Folks, if you've seen it, you know this stuff is gross. It's disgusting, it's perverse." I am glad that we have a majority of wise and moral state senators and wish I could say the same for the Cottonwood mayor and the apparent majority of our city councilors. You are in violation of your own city ordinances by not putting this issue on the agenda. Apparently, you think this is a dictatorship. Mark it down, city elections are coming.
Thank you, Ms. O'Daniel. Next is Pam James, and you'll be followed by Elaine Gaiman, I believe.
Mayor and council members, thank you so much for hearing us today. My name is Pam James. I have lived almost 70 years. I'm the wife of a retired Air Force officer, mother of 5, and the grandmother of 6 children. I was a homeschool mom, and I'm a retired school teacher. I want to appeal to you, first of all, since I've been a Christian for 51 years and only married to my husband for 50 this coming September, I want to appeal to you about this drag show. It really puts us Christians between a rock and a hard place. Jesus is our rock, and this hard place is this world. So you see, it's tough for us. I had to ask myself, and I've thought about this a lot, how should I, as a Christian, deal with the grievous things in this world that I believe are wrong? So I've really thought about it. What did Jesus tell us to do? What did he tell me to do? He said, take the log out of my own eye before judging others, make a true self-examination of my sin, and repent of all wrong. The second thing I thought about was, well, I can't force my morals upon unbelievers. That's wrong. They would just trample it under their feet. I think Jesus talked about that when he says, don't cast your pearls before swine. And please know, I'm not meaning this as an offense to anyone. It just means that the things that are precious to Christians, if forced upon unbelievers, is not valuable to them. And the third thing, this is where I wanted to set right here. Christians, including me, are the salt of the earth. That means our presence preserves, protects, safeguards this present age. We serve to hold back the world from evil and despair. This means our communities, our governments, our institutions will tend to be safer as we keep back and slow down trends, ideas, beliefs that can potentially harm the weak, the sick, the poor, the young, the old, as well as future generations. I also appeal to you as a woman. I'm a daughter, I'm a mother, a grandmother. Children are very impressionable, and you've heard all about that already. Their innocence must be protected. I want to have an illustration here. 4 of my 6 grandchildren are of minority races. If their communities were to invite a troupe of performers to come outfitted with makeup or clothes that made fun of Asians or were dressed in blackface, no matter how musically talented they might be, their parents, that means my grandchildren, their parents and myself and my husband would be highly offended. We would be more than offended. We would be appalled, and we would do anything to prevent that from happening. Well, I'm glad there is no racial or cultural appropriation allowed in today's society. I'm thankful for that.
Ms. James, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off. Thank you for being here.
It's been 3 minutes?
It's been 3 minutes, yes,
Okay.
thank you. Elaine Gaiman, you're up next. You'll be followed by Dave Gaiman. Not here this evening? Okay, both opposed. Annalisa Brown, are you here this, oh, you are here, are you Mr. Gaiman? Okay, sorry.
Good evening, all. I have 26 grandchildren, and I have 45 great-grandchildren. And being around them, they are all very innocent, very unknowing of the bad things of the world. And I don't think that this kind of a show is going to educate them or make them better. In fact, with the pornography as bad as it is today, I'm not sure this kind of a show is good for the adults. But if you insist it be for the adults, then for sure keep it away from the children. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Annalisa Brown, you're up next, and you will be followed by Christy Keck. Oh, I'm sorry. You'll be followed by Dustin Daniels. Good evening.
Hi, I didn't really prepare anything. I've heard a lot of people talk about their Christian beliefs and quote Bible verses. Unfortunately, this is not a church. We are not here to impose other people's religious beliefs in town and what other people are going to do. If you don't want to go to the drag show, don't go to the drag show. If you don't want your kids going to the drag show, then don't let your kids go to the drag show. I personally do not believe that drag is sexual deviance. I think it is an art form. I think it's for fun. And it's about othering. They call them groomers. There's this idea that if you do drag, that automatically that you are a sexual deviant or that you're transgendered, but you're not. That's not the same thing. So I would say that I am in favor of the drag show. I think that for, this is America, freedom, that people should have the right to have drag shows and go to them if they choose to. Thank you.
Thank you. Christy Keck, are you here with us this evening? Go ahead and come on up. I know you're here to speak about an item, but I'm not allowing public comment on that, so you can come up and speak now if you choose. And then you'll be followed by Dustin Daniels.
My name is Christy Keck, and I am born and raised in Arizona. I noticed that some people said how long they've been here. So I'm 40, and I am privileged because I have been all over the world. I choose to live in Arizona, and I love all the things that I've been able to see. I've been to opera, I've been to circuses, I've been to everything. And I get to choose what entertainment I want, and now I have a 2-year-old. I want to be able to expose her to the same things, which is everything, because then she can decide what she would like to see for herself, what kind of entertainment and what populations she would like to be exposed to. And I think that that's what everyone should decide for themselves, who they want to be with. And I choose to, go to drag shows. And it's not because I myself want to be in drag. I know who I am, and I'm glad that others do too. And I hope that the future is able to experience everything I have, because there's an amazing world out there and life is for living. And I hope that everyone gets to see that world, including a Pride Festival and a drag show. Thank you. Have
Thank
a
you.
great night.
Dustin Daniels, you're up next. You'll be followed by Linda Parent.
Mayor, council members, my name is Dustin Daniels. I'm a resident of Cottonwood. I'm the pastor teacher of River Bible Church in Cottonwood as well. I'm the person who started the online petition that now has 1,268 signers on it, specifically opposing the drag show, specifically with the children, including the children to this event. And I stand before you as a concerned citizen of this great city. One of hundreds of people who have come before you over the past 4 to 6 weeks. And I think at this point we're confused because there hasn't been any communication back to us. So I do have a question. I know that you can't answer that. I respect the forum. Questions bring clarity. Clarity brings truth. So my question is this. What is the hesitation of the city council to actually agendize this event? What's the hesitation? Mr. Mayor, it seems like somebody is hiding something. We don't understand the fear that has paralyzed the government from talking about a drag show in public. Because there's no communication back to us, the rumor mill has just been going crazy. Mr. Mayor, the rumor mill states that you're scared of the organizers of this event, that you're scared of being sued by the ACLU. Vice Mayor, people are saying that you're the one that called the event, the organizers, to actually bring them to Cottonwood. So what we're asking here is for you guys to put this on the agenda 2 weeks from today so that we can actually hear what's going on, so we can understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Parent, you're up next. You'll be followed by Christopher Hall.
Hi, I'm Linda Parent. I'm a native Arizonan, and I want to talk about my personal experience with sexual deviance and sexual perversion. Both of my daughters were tragically sexually abused at a very young age by a close family member. Their perpetrator was also sexually abused by a male babysitter. Their perpetrator grew up twisted, becoming obsessed with pornography, and then becoming a perpetrator himself. He ended up living in constant conflict and anger, and he ended up brutally murdering someone and received life imprisonment without parole. 15 years into his sentence, he was released back into society. I worked at a domestic abuse center for 14 years answering crisis calls. While working in this profession, I encountered one terrible story after another. Two stand out in my memory forever. A woman called in and was in the process of committing suicide. She had taken a bottle of pills right before she called me. She told me that in spite of having a very loving husband, that whenever he wanted to have sex with her, it would set off her PTSD. She said she couldn't go on anymore despite years of counseling. Another woman called in who had been repeatedly sexually abused by her father. She had developed multiple personalities to cope with the horrific situation. One personality was the victim of abuse, another her public self, and so on and so forth. My best friend and her sister were horrifically and repeatedly abused physically and sexually by multiple family members. Her sister committed suicide, and my friend has spent thousands and thousands of dollars in counseling trying to overcome her PTSD. I wish I could go on, and I wish I had more time. The cost of sexual perversion and deviance is immeasurable to the victims, which society sometimes has to pay for the mental health services and medical services for the victims. The impact this has on many victims' day-to-day lives and their ability to overcome costs, society in so many ways. This is a societal problem. The Gay Pride event is not entertainment. It is sexually perverted and sexually deviant propaganda, and it should not be permitted for adults, and God forbid for minor children. This is a grooming tool, and it is groomed for children and even adults. So I ask you, Mayor and City Council, to use critical thinking and to have a sound mind in the impact of this event in the Verde Valley, and please protect our communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parent. Christopher Hall, you're up next, and you'll be followed by Eleanor Kirk.
All right. Hello, my name is Christopher Hall, and I am the Executive Director of Miss Nature LLC. I've met all of you before, but I'm here again today. A lot of individuals are asking for truth, so for those that want truth, hopefully you're listening. I'm here again to address the misinformation that I have read on community boards to help educate the community. First and foremost, Mayor Linsky, thank you so much. You did not invite us. The truth is I simply opened a map and said, where should we go this year? And Cottonwood was a nice selection. First, our event also is a private ticket event. This is not a city-sponsored event, nor has the city put any money towards this event. This event is simply happening in a space that is intended to be used by all members of this community, including the members of the community that are of the LGBTQ+ community. This event is also not open to children without a responsible adult. I have seen rhetoric online asking how we know individuals are the parents. We are not going to get into legal battles with adults about guardianship status, as some single mothers may have a different last name than their child, and not what is listed on their birth certificate. Some children are products of broken households and are not raised by their parents. I don't know a single event that requires parents to carry a guardianship papers in order to attend. Putting requirements on our event that is not put on all is a concern. Important to note, this event has been going on for 3 years, and there hasn't really been any negative. If anything, we've reached over 5,000 individuals with these events over the span of the last 3 years. And because of this event, we now have more pride organizations in rural communities that need them. We have more resources for individuals and communities where resources are needed. Are there 21+ events? Yes, most definitely. Entertainers sign a contract for this event that hold them to standards. There is a difference. I'm an adult, and I know the difference between what is appropriate in a 21+ environment and what is appropriate. I host on a bi-weekly basis events in Tucson, and no concerns. Why drag? I can tell you that I grew up in a household. My dad is actually here this evening with me. My dad, I used to have to stand 50 feet away from him in stores. I wore makeup. I was raised Pentecostal. And I can tell you that the church did more damage to me than any drag event ever would. That's pretty much all I have to say at this point, but there is some, at least hopefully some education for the community, and I hope that it helps for those that really want the truth. Oh, actually, I will end on this note. I'm sorry. So we were mentioning earlier some of the leaders. Governor Katie Hobbs had wrote, on this International Women's Day, I want to make it clear that trans women are women. They are welcome here, and any bill that harasses or threatens their safety will swiftly meet my veto stamp. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Eleanor Kirk, you're up next. You'll be followed by Dan Good.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Eleanor Kirk. On leaving the last city council, I was met by teams of Cottonwood's youth leaving a basketball tournament, a wholesome event in a city facility. One might assume that any event open to children in a city facility would be wholesome. Not so. Under the auspices of this city council, a most unwholesome event will groom our innocent children to become homosexuals, transvestites, or gender-confused youngsters with a highly increased risk of suicide. You will tell me that children cannot attend the drag queen event without their parents. I would remind you that parents sometimes act in despicable ways. Do you remember the woman who drove her 4 children into the lake to drown them? Others have starved their babies, kept them in cages, and even sold them as sex slaves. That's why we have laws, to protect the defenseless. I grew up sitting in a bar with my alcoholic father. Not the best place for a 4-year-old. Against the law? Yes, but laws that aren't enforced can't protect anyone. If I asked how many of you would like to be children again, I doubt a single hand would go up. As children, we were vulnerable to abuse from our peers as well as from adults, and we lacked the maturity to understand the horrors we experienced. The sexual traumas were the worst. I assure you that being molested leaves a deeper wound on the soul than being beaten does on the body. At the last city council meeting, a speaker said, "Shame on us for electing you." I agree. We were asleep or disinterested or distracted or simply lacked information. Thank you for waking us up. Thank you for showing us who you are. There is something rotten in Cottonwood. It's definitely time for spring cleaning. We are not going away, and we will not forget your passivity. If you will not protect our children, you must make way for those who will. If our mayor had complied with protocol and put this item on the agenda, we could have been more selective. But now, as in cleaning out the refrigerator, we must operate by the maxim, when in doubt, throw it out. Thank you for clarifying that the majority of you are not responsive to the citizens of Cottonwood, the laws of God, or the codes that govern our fair land.
Thank you, Ms. Kirk. Dan Good, you're up next, and you'll be followed by Catherine Varela.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members, and staff. My name is Dan Good. I live in Clarkdale. I am opposed to the Trans Across America event, and most specifically, the blatant training of children in such things. The world is going to hell in a handbasket. I'm sure you all have heard that before. Well, I think we're giving it a new definition. Ask yourself, are you carrying the handbasket? Christians have been a thorn in the side of immorality since Noah's time. You can rewrite history, but you can't change history. And just like the days of Noah, people scoff at God and say, there is no God. The message of the cross is foolishness to those who are running with the devil. If you are determined to run with the devil and not protect the children, then you are indeed carrying the handbasket. It grieves my heart, not only for the children, but also for your souls. Seek him while he may be found. And don't wait until it's too late. And if it pleases the council, I would like to give you each one of my cards, and if any of you ever has the need or desire to call me, please do.
If you wouldn't mind, sir, just hand those up there and we'll get them passed around. Thank you. All right. Catherine Varela, you're up next, and you'll be followed by, is Catherine, I may be saying the last name wrong, Varela, is she in the room? No? Okay, she's opposed. We have a Chai Clark? Not in the room. Chai Clark, I believe last name is Clark or Clack? No? Okay. Shar? Clack? No? Okay. I'm trying everything here. All right. Opposed. Ken Miller. Are you up? Great. And then you'll be followed by Jay Haney.
Council, Mayor. I'm Ken Miller, have been a pastor in the Verde Valley for over 31 years, and I come tonight to stand with those who oppose this event, agree with most all of the reasons that have been expressed in that regard. So please, take action. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Jay Haney, you're up next. You'll be followed by Denise Vertriest. Jay Haney, are you with us? Okay, how about Denise Vertriest? Okay, and you'll be followed by Lonnie Shields. In favor, I'm sorry, that Jay Haney was in favor. Go ahead, ma'am.
Mayor and council members, this is not something I usually do. I'm not a speaker. But this event, I moved to Cottonwood because this was a nice, small, good town. This event is not good for our children. I don't think it's good for adults, but not for children. It should not be allowed. No children should be allowed under 18, in fact, 21 for this event. Drinking age is 21. There shouldn't be anybody under 21 there. And I have a couple quotes from a magazine from American Family Association that I'd like to quote here, and it's from M.D. Perkins. And it says, "Not all drag performances are brazenly sexualized, but the very act of drag, especially where the maleness of the female impersonator is particularly recognizable, is intent to pervert." That's the point. He also says, "There is a deep darkness underneath it all, and some drag queens have openly admitted that promiscuous sex and drug use are often behind the scenes at drag events. Exposing children to this is revolting. We cannot allow this for our children. If they have this event and we have to have it, please do not allow children to be groomed because that's what they're doing. They're grooming our children, and we do not need this in this nice town of Cottonwood. Thank you.
Thank you. Lonnie Shields, you're up next, and you'll be followed by Claire Hart.
I'm not going to talk to you about what I want to. I'm going to talk to you about what I've experienced. I was #1 call in search and rescue in Flagstaff, Arizona. I've scraped bodies up from airplane crashes on the side of our mountains here. I've picked up bodies off of train tracks. I have been around all the ugliness because search and rescue isn't really search and rescue, it's search and recovery. I became a public teacher. I taught for 30+ years. I ran around with gang squads in the police department. I taught at a lower income school. I've seen the results of garbage like you're having in this town and how it grooms people. And it takes them to the pits of hell for girls who are used and abused by people that go to events like this and people who don't go to events like this. I grew up in Phoenix. I know that LA sent over gang members because as soon as they got out of prison, they got a bus ticket to Phoenix. I know how people work around the systems to destroy other cities like Phoenix. And what you're doing is turning a blind eye to what causes problems in cities. Las Vegas was called Sin City because you could go to those shows there. They weren't in Phoenix. They weren't in Glendale. They weren't around Arizona because they were illegal. They're still illegal. You just want to play hide and go seek with words, Mayor. There is no gay pride show here. It's a drag show. Why do you change the title? It's on their posters. He's not afraid of it. You are. Say what it is. Don't change the titles. Don't lie. Teachers hate liars.
Thank you, Mr. Shields. Claire Hart, you're up next. You'll be followed by Lee Elder.
Hello, my name is Claire Hart. So I have found it interesting that at a non-religious event, we've been approached by a lot of very Christian-forward morals. So if the drag show is not representing any sort of political or moral agenda, I'm not sure why we're hearing from morals that are being put onto that. Also, it is, as it was said, it's a ticketed event. If you don't want to go, don't go. If you don't want your kids to go, you don't have to bring your kids. It's also private. It's not going to be out in the public. I've also heard a lot about the idea of sexual deviancy. The idea of sexual deviancy, to me, makes it seem like people have maybe not actually gone to any drag shows, or if they have gone to drag shows, they haven't been to that many. I've been to a lot of different types of drag shows. Some that are in adult-only venues are maybe a little bit more risque, but that is, again, adult venues, 21 plus. Children are literally not allowed there. I've been to a lot of public drag shows where kids are invited and welcomed, and those are a performative dance piece. It's where somebody is dressed in fun costume that is not hypersexualized. They're singing, they're dancing, it's costume. Kids love it. It's a ton of fun. Yeah. I also think that if we're worried about sexual deviancy and the over-sexualization of grown adults in public events, then why are we not calling into question things like football half-game shows? Those are women that are dressed extremely sexually. There's also a lot of alcohol involved, and that's absolutely celebrated by our nation. I just think that the term sexual deviancy is a very thinly veiled argument for people that are bigoted against people that are part of the LGBTQ community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. Lee Elder, you're up next. You'll be followed by Frank Fuller.
Good morning, or good evening, Mayor and City Council. Over the last several meetings, the citizens of Cottonwood, who elected you to represent them, have voiced their opposition to this event. They talked about the evil nature of these shows and how they destroy children's innocence and victimize them. However, even though 2 city council members wanted to put this item on the agenda, somebody shot it down. One man in the previous meeting said you were either a fool or an evil man. But over the last couple meetings, the citizens of Cottonwood have informed you of everything you need to know to make an informed decision. However, you still refuse to put this item on the agenda and negotiate about age restrictions with the City Council. So it is clear that everyone who has chosen to ignore the warnings of the citizens of Cottonwood have chosen the path of the evil man. So what now? It's not like the citizens can do anything because you won't put it on the agenda. For now, it looks like evil has triumphed because good men have done nothing. Now it looks like the battle has been won by cowardly avoiding and ignoring the citizens' voices. But that is wrong. You have not won, you have not triumphed, and the evil one who is trying to destroy the children since the beginning has been defeated. Now it is up to God to do something. And God will triumph. God will win, and God will get all the glory because he is worthy of nothing else. In the Bible, there's a story of a man named Gideon. He had a large army, but it wasn't large enough to defeat his foes. But instead of God adding to that army, he dwindled it down to a tiny 300 people. Well, why would God do this? Why wouldn't he add people to Gideon's army? Because he wanted to show Gideon that he was the only one who could defeat the opposing army. Of course, God won the victory that day, and because Gideon's army was so small, he got all the glory for it. The same thing will happen here. Even though the mayor and certain members of the city council have done nothing to defend the children's innocence and the citizens of Cottonwood's wishes, God is still on the throne, and it will be up to him to defend the children's innocence. He has already defeated the prince and power of the earth. the devil. He defeated him 2,000 years ago when Jesus died on the cross and rose again. By dying on the cross, he took away the sins of everyone on this earth, including all of yours. One thing that a lot of people have neglected in this public session is the need of your salvation. Mayor and city council, many people try to get to heaven by their good works. But this isn't so. Our righteousness is like filthy rags. We have all sinned and fallen short of God's perfect standard of holiness. Because of this, he must judge all our sins. And even though he is loving, he is a just God, and he will judge sins. So because of that, he sent his only son, Jesus, to live on this earth, die on the cross, be buried for 3 days, and rise again. It is because of this that we can get to heaven. There is no other way to get there, but the Bible says that if we trust alone in Jesus to save us from our sins and get us to heaven, we will be saved. I hope you guys think long and hard of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Elder. Frank Fuller, you're up next. You'll be followed by Robert Taylor.
I am Frank Fuller. I'm a resident of Cottonwood. Many of you gathered tonight to hear going to get a history lesson. Why? So history doesn't repeat itself. In 1773, a Boston Tea Party was patriots masquerading as Mohawk natives. They threw into the Boston Harbor 342 crates of tea. Well, why? They were upset to the point where they were spurred into action over taxation without representation. The United States founding fathers, John Adams, Samuel Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Hamilton, John Hancock, John Jay, Thomas Jefferson, Richard Henry Lee, Robert Morse, Peyton Randolph, Roger Sherman, George Washington believed that the 13 colonies should be founded on Judeo-Christian beliefs. These men wrote and signed the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, the very United States Constitution. What does that have to do with the drag show? I'm going to answer you. Who here was allowed to vote on changing our community? You see, just like taxation without representation, those of us who do not agree with this are now forced to live with this. Besides the mayor, who else has given approval of this? I'm not here to judge the mayor or anyone else on the city council. In 1 Timothy 2, verse 2, for kings and all that be in authority, that we may lead a quiet and peaceable life in all godliness and honesty. This very verse prohibits me from speaking ill of you, city members, and the mayor as well. At the same time, it's a guide on how we should have our leaders guide us. However, as an American citizen, I did not vote for you, Mr. Mayor. Anyone who runs unopposed, I don't vote for. As a matter of fact, I placed my name on the ballot as a write-in, and I know I received 2 votes against you. For those that are here tonight, there's a reason why I will never vote for just one person running on the ballot. That's called corruption. Just like our founding fathers rose up against the British, we too have a responsibility to ensure our freedoms so many of us have fought for, so many of us gave our lives for. The right to pursue happiness does not get washed away. How does this drag show interfere with our happiness? Because look at how many of us oppose it. What good will come out of this? Our churches have failed to put God first. We as citizens of Cottonwood have failed to ensure first and foremost to hold those accountable. Now this is a price that we're looking to pay unless God intervenes. You, Mayor, City Council, members, you took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution. Pray tell me, how do you explain this to a young boy or girl who's forced to sit and watch this? Knowing that this is such a hot topic subject, why would you not want input from the very people who elected you to office?
Mr. Fuller, I'm afraid your time is up. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Robert Taylor, you're up next. You'll be followed by Cheryl Lee DeVault, I believe. Evening.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. When my wife and I, several years ago, before we moved here, We were coming through town, we had a friend playing at an event, and it was at the Pride event in Cottonwood. Now, we'd come up here for many years, living in the valley, and really liked this area. That event kind of changed things in our head a little bit. We came to that event, it was great, it was small. There weren't anybody protesting, there was nothing going on outside. It was very, very peaceful, it was quite lovely. And what clicked in our heads right then was, this is a great little Arizona town. This is a town where a Pride event can take place. Again, wasn't huge. We've lived in places. We've lived in the San Francisco Bay Area. We've lived in Phoenix. I've lived in Seattle. I've been in places with large gay communities. Always found them great places to live because of the diversity, because of all the diversity that's allowed, all the different points of view that are allowed in that community. Coming to that event here, I said to myself, this is a great little town. This is a classic Arizona town. I was sure there were many, many conservative people in this town that would not want to attend that event, and they didn't. But what they didn't do is I don't think they complained much about it. This wasn't that many years ago. I know you weren't mayor then, and I don't know how many of you were in the council, but ask yourselves, how many people were there complaining then? How many people were here in the council saying, we do not want Cottonwood to have a gay pride event? Now, I know it may be a different event than what we're talking about now. It may not have had a drag show, but it was daytime. There were people in drag. There were children there. It was great. That, among other things, was something that said, hey, this is a town we could live in. Again, we know there's a lot of conservative people here. We know there's a lot of people from all walks of life here, but this was a town that allowed that to happen. Please allow this to happen again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Cheryl Lee DeVault, are you in? Good evening. And then you'll be followed by Kate, A.R.S.
Thank you all for being here. Thank you for putting up with what might be actually boring and kind of ugly at times. I was raised in such a way that you never go to somebody's face and insult them for the job that they are trying to do. And I appreciate you being willing to put up with this. I am a proud American. One of the things that I love about America is the fact that even those insults are supported. And I will support those people for doing it, but I would never do it myself. They also have choices that I'm not sure that they appreciate. The fact that nobody's dragging them to anything. Nobody's dragging their kids to anything. They have the right to not go. And I don't think I can really put it any clearer than that. If you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, don't go. But don't put the rest of us through what we've had to listen to tonight. Thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Kate Sierras, you're up next. You'll be followed by Maddie Amato.
Hello. I have noticed that there's a lot of people who don't appear to be parents speaking. I am a parent. I have 2 children. I'm a homeowner. I pay my taxes. I own a small business. And I get to see every day what this loving Jesus, the kind of hate it creates at schools. I see the kind of abuse it creates at schools, physical, sexual, violence. And all I keep hearing is that drag queens are pedophiles, and that's not the case. I grew up in San Francisco. I've been around drag queens my whole life, and you know what they've never done? Even like pay attention to me, let alone try to groom me. So I stand here as a parent in full support of this show, if not just to broaden some people's horizons, because This is not weird. This is not bad. This isn't going to hurt anybody. That's it. I can't. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Maddie Amato, you're up next. You'll be followed by Michael Nacito.
Thank you, Council. My name is Maddie. I grew up in Cottonwood for most of my life. I just wanted to kind of address not just the council, but the people opposed to the event in saying that to a degree I sympathize, because if I, in my heart, believed that children were being groomed and exploited, then I would also be extremely upset, you know? And I think these people are not stupid and they're not evil. They're just, like, been lied to. So, and I noticed that a lot of these experiences that have been shared are like, no one's come up here and expressed any data on the damage that a drag show could cause or any statistics. It's all been purely anecdotal. So, and I'm not educated enough to not do that as well, so I'm just gonna give you my anecdotes of being a queer performer in this community for the past 10 years. And I'm saying that as a person who has survived sexual violence and a person who believes in God, because for whatever reason, those two facts seem relevant now at a city council meeting. I have been around drag queens for the past 4 or 5 years in performing in the community. I've played at venues like the Den, and I'm playing at the Copper Jackalope. Like, you know, I perform a lot in the community, and I'm constantly surrounded by queer people, you know? And everyone in this community is perfectly aware of how watched they are at all times. And no performer in a public setting would dare to do something inappropriate in front of a child, because they know that that would be the end of our community. You know, that doesn't seem to be the case. In my personal experience, you know, I'm not trying to generalize that this is a big problem or anything, but in my personal experience, that hasn't been the case with pastors or coaches. Institutions don't fall apart when a coach or a pastor molests a child. We in the queer community understand, because of how much vitriol and how much passion is in our opposition, we can't get away with something like that, you know? Drag queens are on high alert, and a family-friendly event means family-friendly. I've been to family-friendly drag events, and they're no more risque or flamboyant even than any of the shows you would see at Mingus, like an A-Tort show. You know, there's drag in and of itself, the idea that that's a sexual thing is just so strange to me, because I don't think anyone here is of the opinion that, like, Mrs. Doubtfire is a dangerous movie for children. You know, there's adult entertainment and there's family-friendly entertainment. Drag is just a medium. You know, it's just a dude wearing a wig. And I promise you, there will be nothing inappropriate or sexual about the event on the 8th. And that's coming from someone who knows a lot of these performers and has been in a lot of queer performance art in the past couple years in this town. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Michael Nacito, you're up next. You'll be followed by Lana Buckner, I believe.
I'm glad that gentleman gave me his word. I'll give him my word that he's wrong. In the city code, section 2-08-110, it says, prior to each council meeting, agenda items shall be given to the city clerk, city manager, and the mayor shall meet prior to the council meeting and review the agenda. The mayor may delete and or add to the agenda at his or her discretion, except those items specifically requested to be placed on the city council agenda by 2 or more of the council members. I'm here to request the city council place this item on the agenda soon and designate drag queen entertainment as adult entertainment. I'm surprised you've delayed it this long. but I think you thought we'd grow weary and go away. Discuss the topic, work with the CPD, adopt remedies to prevent children from being groomed by pedophiles and perverts. I don't know where the idea originated, but this is not and has never been an issue of LGBTQ community. It's always been about the children, minors being exposed to drag events. Adult entertainment is adult entertainment. At issue, the event being advertised statewide as family-friendly, all ages welcome. We want this issue thoroughly debated by you in an open meeting to see where each one of you stands. Encourage a discussion, take it to a real vote in front of your constituents in what is required in a representative government. Don't ignore us. You swore to protect the community from both foreign and domestic threats, and this is a threat to the children with this sexualized adult entertainment. People say, well, that's, movies, Miss Doubtfire, all this stuff. Miss Doubtfire, when you start it, it starts at the beginning, and when it ends at the end. It never changes. But every individual that's a dancer, a drag queen, or whatever, the minute they get a quirky idea, they can change their performance. Mr. Hall has said there won't be any cameras inside the event so as to protect the children from being identified. But it also protects Mr. Hall from ever getting exposed as creating problems with their drag queen event. There's I understand there are going to be a wristband for those who are buying alcohol and a safe zone for children. So when their dad's over here getting a drink, Junior can be over here sitting in a safe zone. I don't know who monitors the safe zone. I had more, but you know how 3 minutes goes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me, Lana Buckner, you're up next, and you'll be followed by Ruth Ann Joy. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. Thank you so much for hearing all of us out tonight. We've heard a lot of opposition tonight to the event. I know we're not speaking to their liquor license directly, so I'll fall also on the side of being generally in favor of the event, the organizers, the people who need pride events, and the people who have shown up here tonight in support of this event. And it really is an honor to vocalize my support, especially in the face of the misunderstanding and the kind of malignments of the gay community tonight and the performers that is ultimately so hurtful. I am sure that no one vocalizing their fears tonight has actually experienced a drag show. If any one of you in front of me has not experienced a drag show, I so invite you to please do so. They're so fun. And perhaps they've not experienced an all-ages drag show or talked to a drag queen at all. So I will be borrowing some words from drag queen Bella DeBall tonight to bring some light and perhaps understanding. Children understand drag. They are not victims of a theatrical performance. They get it. They are, in fact, the originators of drag, of play, of fun, and of dress up. And in Miss Bella DeVal's words, when children see her, they think she's a Disney princess. They are so taken. There's a positive story that's not being told tonight, so I'm happy to at least introduce you to it in my short time allotment, and I really hope that you take the time to understand what it is that you are opposing, not just from staying within your own community to understand it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ruth Ann Joy, you are up next, and you'll be followed by Laura Mastis, perhaps.
Mayor and City Council, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. I was born in 1963 in Prescott, Arizona, and I've lived almost my entire life in the Verde Valley. I have 17 grandchildren and 7 children. I raised my children here, and 4 of my children are now raising my grandchildren here. I've watched this community not just grow in size, but grow in diversity, in acceptance. And I've voted every time it's time to vote, and I've watched the city council also grow in diversity. And I am so grateful that we have an opportunity to come together as community members and talk about what we share, what our concerns are. I've taken my kids and my grandkids to many family-friendly events. I've taken them to the Thunder Valley Rally. I've taken them to concerts in the park. And this drag show is another family-friendly event that people can take their children to if they want to, if they purchase a ticket to go. It is no different than family members that want to take their children to bingo night at the main stage, or want to take their children to Thunder Valley Rally bicycle and bicycle riders beauty shows. As parents, we should have the right to decide what is appropriate for our children. We have many, many churches in this area, and no one is telling church members that they can't take their children to church. We shouldn't. That's their right to raise their children as they see fit. And every other parent in the Verde Valley should also have the opportunity to take their children to family-friendly events that they deem appropriate. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Laura Mastis, I may be saying that very wrong. Laura, I apologize.
Laura.
Okay, and you'll be followed by Lana Hayburn? Okay.
Hi, thank you, Mayor, City Council members. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to all of us. I'm here today to discuss the First Amendment of the Constitution, which states everyone has the right to free speech. I stand here as an LGBTQ ally. I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a social worker. I am a member of the community who volunteers for those less fortunate. I stand here to protect the rights of trans and the LGBT community and their expression of the art form that's known as drag entertainment. So I'm going to talk about the history of drag. This has been going on since the beginning of civilization. You can go to the Greek theaters, and men portrayed women in Greek theater. Go to Shakespeare. Shakespeare, if you know Shakespeare and have read Shakespeare, you'll understand what I'm mentioning. Japan has kabuki theater. Kabuki theater is where men wear elaborate costumes. They play the parts of both men and women in these theater, this dramatic presentation. It is considered a high art form in Japan. On my last visit to Japan, I went to kabuki theater. There were children there. There was, you go in, you order a bento box and sake, and you sit down with families and you enjoy the beauty of the art form. And there's no one outside who is protesting. It is considered honorable, the theater form. Even in China, which has a repressive regime, opera is oftentimes done with men portraying women, and it is allowed in the repressive Chinese government. Sorry, I'm getting worked up. We all have First Amendment rights. We all do, yet some people wish to deny others that right. The First Amendment states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, prohibiting the free speech thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. This is the First Amendment. Everything that I've heard tonight talks about religious outrage rather than the rights of people. This means that we all have the right to express ourselves artistically or otherwise. Drag is protected speech. Drag shows are speech. The First Amendment protects more than just verbal or written words. It protects nonverbal expression and communication. So a drag show, a drag performance is protected under the law. The drag show that's taking place in Cottonwood is a PG-rated show. There are children going to be going there. Children have seen 1960s Elmer Fudd, Bugs Bunny, all of the TV shows, movies that demonstrate and show people dressing in drag. I would just like to say that I hope that you all listen to the fact that this is protected under First Amendment speech. Thank you.
Thank you. I got your name wrong, and I apologize.
No worries. I am Lama Hayburn. I am queer, and I am trans. And when I first moved to this community, I was scared, honestly. I walked down, that strip on 89A where they sell guns all the time and have ammo, and all the anti-LGBTQ things they have there and just the general hate messages. I was scared. I wondered if I should go somewhere else. Living here and seeing that we're having a drag event here makes me feel safer. It makes me feel that this community is maybe one that will let me live as my authentic self. So I'd also want to point out that if we're talking about religious issues, we should not be, because we live in a society that has a separation of church and state. And if we're concerned about sexual predators, we should be looking at our churches, not our drag shows. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie, Fernette, I want to just pause for just a minute and everyone really is behaving very civilly, and I appreciate it, and just ask for your continuance of being civil. And again, thumbs up, thumbs down if you agree or don't agree. These are great non-disruptive ways to show your support or disapproval. So thank you very much. Julie Fernette, you're up next. You'll be followed by Kathy Ransom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members, for hearing us today. I appreciate that. I also want to quickly say I appreciate you not singling out this event to put on the agenda, as you don't do it with any of the other events that are held in this community center, and I wouldn't see a reason to change that for this. I want to say that I support the right of many so-called Christians in this room to be as morally opposed to this as they choose to be. I support their right to attend the church of their choice. I don't support them forcing their religious views upon others in the community. I don't think that's right. I have been molested by a priest, by a school custodian, by a family member, but despite going to drag shows and hanging out with drag queens and gay friends since the early 80s, never had one of them molest me. I've had bosses whose hands found their way to my rear. I've had college professors whose arm around my shoulder fell to my breast. But again, never once from a drag queen, no matter how close we were. I support this show. I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be comedy. It's going to be dress up. It's going to be the kind of thing that you might want to go to without your kids and go and drink and just have a great time. But if you want to bring your kids, a lot of people bring their kids to local bars here for other events. And, it works out. It's a great family-friendly event. So I just wanted to voice my support for the event, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Kathy Ransom, you're up next, and you'll be followed by Jacqueline Leslie.
I'm Kathy Ransom, a 20-year resident of Cottonwood. The term drag refers to the performance of exaggerated masculinity, femininity, or other forms of gender expression, usually for entertainment purposes. Drag usually involves cross-dressing. A drag queen is someone, usually a male, who performs femininity, and a drag king is someone, usually a woman, who performs masculinity. Performances often involve comedy, social satire, and at times political commentary. Noted political historian Heather Cox Richardson wrote recently, "Make no mistake, this attack on transgender people represents a deadly attack on the fundamental principle of American democracy, the idea that all people are created equal. If we do not allow the drag show to take place in Cottonwood, we are saying that these people are not as good as us. They don't deserve to be heard or to express themselves as they see fit. We are essentially saying they are second-class citizens. They can do what they like in the privacy of their own home, but keep it there. That would be a moral backsliding in a country which once allowed only white, land-owning males to vote. It is clear we are a stronger democracy for allowing all adults to vote. The Hungarian President Viktor Orbán believes that LGBTQ rights are a danger to his country and to Western society. He is trying to move his country to a Christian democracy. But one of our founding principles is the separation of church and state. Why? Because our founding fathers believed that all religions have value. To choose one over all others would be to recreate exactly the conditions so many of our ancestors left Europe to escape. To those who object to the drag show, I say, don't attend. Just as I will not be attending a church which does not welcome members of the LGBTQ+ community. As Americans, we get to make those choices. But if we choose not to treat all people as equal under the law, we are no longer a democracy. Drag is art. Art is protected speech. And in this country, speech is free. At least it was the last time I read the Constitution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jacqueline Leslie, you're up next, and you'll be followed by Randy Burdette.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm kind of short here. I've heard a lot of pros and cons, which I know you guys have listened to it. And the pro for this event is under the demise or under the misconception that we that oppose it are against it. That's not what we have been saying. And I don't know what the heck these people that are for this event are hearing, but obviously they're not hearing what we have said. We don't care whether you have this event or not. We do not want our children involved. And this began, this drag situation with the LGBT people comes under Mr. Flint when he sued the First Amendment rights for his right to have pornography. And we've slid into a slime cesspool. And whether these people that are for this event think that it's a great event for them, fine. They're adults. They have a thinking capacity. Children don't have that kind of a capacity. They don't understand this particular event in the way that it's meant to be. They are little kids and they transmute and they understand things differently. I have a bunch of children that live down the street from me and around me. I've raised my own children and I'd never allowed them to go to this event. And the fact that you people are promoting this as a plus for children is almost obscene, and that you people want to go woke. Well, woke is going to go broke. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leslie. Randy Burdette, you're up next. You'll be followed by Chris Roach, I believe.
All right. Thank you to the City Council for allowing us all to speak here today. Here's a quote that goes straight to the point from Trixie Mattel, a well-known drag queen. Quote, "Today, drag can involve dressing up, wearing crazy makeup, gender crossing, or having a persona or fictional character, but it'll always have its roots in queer culture," unquote. Planned Parenthood's definition of queer is, quote, "a word that describes sexual and gender identities other than straight and cisgender," unquote. Do children really have sexual identities when they are very young? Even when they are 15 or so, is it really appropriate for children to be involved in events with adult entertainment whose roots are based on sexual preferences and sexual identities, especially when sexualized dances are taking place, such as the spread eagle, where one lays on their back and spreads their legs as far as they can so as to mimic the sex position, which is not art meant for kids, as Christopher J. Hall demonstrated at the Lake Havasu All Ages Tour last month, shown on video with children present, and when he was in drag. There are people who claim this all ages show is about supporting trans and gay rights, the First Amendment, ideological views on both sides, and is weird, innocent fun. But including minors/children and clearly adult shows has nothing to do with any of that. They also say that this isn't political, yet the Verde Valley Democrats are sponsoring/supporting this event. I'm also a parent to alleviate the concerns of others, since that seems to be important. What we oppose as a majority has nothing to do with hate or bigotry, no matter what anyone says, despite the sharp words sometimes used. Parents bringing their kids to these events doesn't make it any more okay than bringing them to strip shows with no nudity. Again, I and most people do not mind drag shows as long as adult entertainment does not include minors or children. When it comes to adult entertainment in city-run buildings such as the clubhouse, especially where a building was since the beginning traditionally used for family and community events, the city council and the Cottonwood community will have to decide on that one. Sometimes something like this would be a first for Cottonwood, if not the entire state or nation. Ask yourselves whether or not it is worth throwing away Cottonwood's family-friendly perception that people have of it. In closing, I implore the city council to add this issue of drag shows, including children/minors, to the agenda so that we may all have a civil discussion on this together. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Chris, is it Chris Roach? That's it, man. Okay, and then you'll be followed by Lisa Lemke.
I think the biggest thing here is the manufactured outrage that some people are talking about, manufactured outrage against Christians. I haven't heard one Christian come up here and say anything derogatory about anybody. They don't want children to go into a drag show. They haven't said anything about LGBTQ. All they said is they don't want the children to go there. It's manufactured outrage. It's absolutely insane. Drag is inherently sexual in nature. We see it on every video. Go on the internet, YouTube, Rumble, any of those things. It's inherently sexual. The origin and purpose of drag is to indulge in adult humor through exaggerated female impersonation. That's exactly what it is. There's no question about that. To the other side, your arguments using the Constitution are hilarious. You should actually read it sometime. And we're going to talk about white landowning men making these rules, and then you talk about how the rules don't apply to people. It doesn't make any sense to me. But the manufactured outrage is the biggest thing. Nobody here doesn't want the drag show. Nobody here doesn't want the drag show. That's fine. It's the children part of it, the grooming of children. That this isn't on the agenda is insane. It's cowardly, absolutely cowardly. You won't talk about it in front of the people that voted for you or the people that didn't vote for you. I don't understand. You can't give those people their due day. But like other people have said too, it's you'll come up for vote again, and everybody will remember where you stand. Or they won't, because you won't tell us. I would like to thank Stephen DeWillis and Lisa DeVarney for standing up for the people of this community. Good job. Basically, we have a group of people, the LGBTQ community, who says that, oh, this isn't about trans, and it's not an LGBT community, but every one of them has signs that have the LGBTQ flag. So is it or is it not? Is it not sexual? The whole thing is based on sex. These people are, I want to be defined, number one, as a Christian, number two, as a patriot, number three, as a veteran. I spent 10 years making sure that people in this country have the right to be able to do what we're doing right here. But when people who define themselves by where they put their body parts during sex, who wants to be defined by that? You know, lesbian, what is a lesbian? A woman with sexual attraction to another. It's all about sex, 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 sex. That's all this is about. And to say this isn't about sexualizing children is insane. We see the videos. We've seen the aftermath of what happens. The 9, 10, 12-year-old kids run around putting dollars in grown man's pants with big signs that say it doesn't lick itself. Are you serious? God bless y'all, for real.
Lisa Lemke, you're up next. You'll be followed by Don Burns.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I know I'm not going to make a big difference, but I'm just doing what I think is right to do. Frankly, I don't care about special rights. We all have rights under the Constitution. I have nothing against my fellow man. I love people, and I don't care what gender they are. But when it comes down to things that I do care about, I care about gender confusion. I care about kids that have had surgeries and are mutilated, and I've heard their testimonies. I have heard them. And it's really sad. And so I care deeply about the people that have been hurt by things like gender confusion, gender mutilation. I've learned a lot about human trafficking, and I spent many years working in behavioral health. So I frankly don't see how this show is going to do anybody any good. And I guess really that's all I have to say. I guess I'm tired of it, and I'm tired of people screaming about their rights when we have children to think about. And I remember what it was like when I was a child, and yes, I too was a victim of sexual abuse. So I care about things that have to do with sex and sexualizing minors. I care a lot about this. Thank you very much, and I hope that you will not go through with this. I hope so. I pray to God that you won't. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Don Burns, you're up next, and you'll be followed by Linda Burns. Don, are you with us this evening? Linda, are you with us this evening? Linda Burns? Okay, both opposed. Sharon Bonney, are you with us? Sharon Bonney? Yes, Sharon Bonney, go ahead. And then you'll be followed by Sean McCarthy.
Good evening. I don't want a Dancing for Dollar Bills event in our community's clubhouse with children present. Whether the performers are women dressed as women, men dressed as men, men dressed as women, I don't want it. This drag event that you sanction for April does not belong in our community building. Picture children handing dollar bills to men in leotards. One of the performers calls himself Ecstasy. Ecstasy. That's from the advertisement. The role of the adult is to protect children. We said the Pledge of Allegiance tonight with liberty and justice for all. What is justice for childhood? It is allowing them innocence. The clubhouse downtown has always been a place of strengthening and edifying activities for my family. Last summer, my 10-year-old daughter participated in children's theater at the clubhouse. It was an edifying experience. I hope you allow the rec center to invite back Missoula Children's Theater. Thank you, City Council, for allowing the Children's Theater to hold an event in our community clubhouse. A few years ago, I took square dancing lessons at the clubhouse. A strengthening experience for me. Thank you, City Council. Earlier this month, my daughter's violin teacher held a music performance at the clubhouse. Music in honor of St. Patrick's Day. Again, thank you, City Council. You have power to decide what goes on in the community building. Next, the clubhouse welcomes men in leotards walking around for dollar bills. Alcohol served, children invited. The City Council has influence over the people of Cottonwood. By not putting the event on the agenda after 3 City Council meetings, 4, including this one, of the public filling this room and speaking about the drag event, the public servants that you are show us that you do not serve the community.
Thank you. Sean McCarthy, you're up next. And you will be followed by Terry Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I appreciate you. Appreciate everybody in the room. That's really what makes Cottonwood great, is that we can all get together and hear each other out. I just want to address some logical fallacies that are happening tonight. One, ad hominem attacks against the council itself are inappropriate. I really don't think they serve any discussion here. Two, slippery slope arguments saying that one thing leads to another, that a drag show, a theatrical comedy, will lead to pedophilia. There's no basis. There's been no facts whole night. Two, red herrings, saying that drag performers are inherently pedophiles. There's no basis in fact for that. Drag is theatrical comedy. It's outrageous. It's meant to challenge you and sometimes make you a little uncomfortable, and then it makes you laugh. It reminds me of Rocky Horror Picture Show, Hairspray, Godspell, Jesus Christ Superstar, all theatrical productions that I saw as a child. My parents brought me to them. I am a well-educated, grounded individual. I don't have any interest in grooming. I find that repulsive and offensive that you would suggest that your neighbor, who might be the person that serves you food, serves you lunch, maybe they're your bartender, maybe they are your plumber. The LGBT community is everywhere. There's no reason to suggest that a person, just because of their sexual preference, and I will also point out the difference between sex and gender, we're talking about gender roles. We're not talking about sexual roles here. And so to challenge gender is a way to make us more open-minded, more accepting, and that's really what I appreciate in this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Terry Hall, you're up next. You'll be followed by James A. Coulter Jr. Terry Hall, are you with us?
No, I want to thank you, Mayor and City Council. I'm a proud parent of a gay child, of course, Miss Nature, and the ugliness and the hatred that I could feel here brings 2 years that I gave him through hell, because I did 28 years military, or 28 years law enforcement, 8 years military. I was macho. I didn't believe in it, and I put him through hell. And to see these people turn their backs or thumbs, this and that. How many kids that are gay that are afraid to tell their parents they're gay? How many kids become homeless or get kicked out or commit suicide because they see the way their parents talk about the gay community? It's sad. And I didn't realize how much I actually put my son through until I retired and I started to help him with his tours and the hatred that I just see. You know, and they talk about religion, this, that. All right, let's talk religion. David Koresh, he did religion. A lot of people died. A lot of ministers and preachers, they do foul things to children. We don't talk about them. Everyone that talks about these shows, sure, they're on YouTube, this and that, but all shows are not the same. If we get away from everyone just stereotyping one group of individuals, maybe there'd be less hate and more love, you know, and that's basically what I've got to say. You know, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. James A. Coulter Jr., are you with us? Okay, great. You'll be followed by Issei Pop. Getting that wrong, perhaps.
First, I would just like to thank you all for allowing us to speak today. I actually came tonight not prepared to speak, more prepared just to listen. That's kind of my MO. I love to listen and love to hear both sides of things. And even though I feel very grounded in how I feel, I'm not somebody who just wants to jump in there. But I heard some things tonight that I feel need to be addressed. First of all, I've heard the comments about insults. And although on both sides there have been some strong opinions, there have been things that may have been said that were strongly worded towards one side or the other. I don't know that I heard anything that I would classify as insults. I did hear somebody talk about the fact that parents are not standing up, or that the people that were standing up are not parents. I'm sure, I know most of the people, or a good portion of the people that stood up in opposition today, and I can tell you, although they did not come up and say it, they're parents, most of them. I can tell you that I'm a parent. I'm a parent of 2 children that I dearly love, that I'm trying to raise in the fear and admonition of the Lord, like many of us in this room. What I understand is that people are opposed to that term, fear and admonition of the Lord. Well, this community is very diverse, and a good portion of us hold to traditional Judeo-Christian values. We want our children to be held to that, and not only that, but we believe firmly in the fact, and you may not agree with it, and that's fine, but the fact that there is a God who created this thing that we call morality. It's not ambiguous. It came from above. And we want to see that upheld. I have like many of people here, I have no problem with somebody expressing themselves. Do I find it attractive? Personally, absolutely not. Do I think it is a problem with their lifestyle and that it is a brokenness in their life? I sure do. Are they adults and want to practice that? Yeah. My dad's an alcoholic. I love him deeply, dearly. But if he wants to choose to go down that road, that's his choice. I'm not going to stop him. I will share with him how I feel, but I will also sit down with him and love him in the midst of it. That's how I think many of us on the opposition side feel. It's not that we don't hold people's rights to do something. It's that we feel that it is wrong. And we do feel very strongly that our children cannot be exposed to it. Many have said that we don't have exposure to this. I can't speak for them. I can tell you that I personally have 3 years of intense ministry to people that have come out of the transgender LGBTQ society, people that were broken, not just by religion, and I know everybody says that, but actually they were healed by religion. They were broken by the community, and it was brokenness that led them into that community. So I have that exposure. Is that my time?
That's your time, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for hearing us tonight. Appreciate you.
I say Pop, or is a Pop, are you in the room? Great, thank you. Sorry if I'm getting your name wrong. And you'll be followed by Mary Ellen Dunn.
God knows everybody's heart here. He knows everybody's heart. From the first breath to right this moment, everybody in this room. Some people didn't make it through the day today. All I'm going to do is just, I can't talk. I just am overcome with emotion. That I have to be here.
Sir, if you can't speak, you're more than welcome to say if you're opposed.
I'm just going to read. I read the Proverbs every day. Today is the 21st. It has 31 chapters. I forgot to read it before I got here, so I read it. And I'm just going to focus for a second so I can find it. And then I'm going to read it for you, and then I'm just going to step down because the Lord is so amazing. And I don't have to say anything. So chapter 21, just the first 4 verses here. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. As the rivers of water, he turneth whither he will. That's your heart is with him. This is your decision, you know? It's with you. The second verse says, every way of a man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord pondereth the hearts. And everybody in this room thinks they're right. Everybody. I have worse thoughts in my head that will ever happen at that drag show. I repent. So I can't really talk about that. To do justice and judgment is more acceptable to the Lord than sacrifice. And finally, a high look and a proud heart and the plowing of the wicked is sin. So we have to realize how we treat people. There's a lot of pain in this room. And we all love this. We all love this valley. And that's where we have to unify, is this valley. Children, everybody bring the children when their issue is involved. And for my friends who follow Jesus, it's, maybe you want to fast a little bit and pray a little bit and give up a little bit. If you want them to give up something, why don't we give up something? You would talk to somebody, but let's give up some food for a couple of weeks.
Thank you, sir. Mary Ellen Dunn, you are up next. You'll be followed by Clyde and Gail. I see here you don't want to speak, so I'll just call up Ruth. No, she already spoke. No, she spoke too. Go right ahead, ma'am. I'll get my notes together.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for your long hours you're putting in this evening. I'm an Arizona native and have lived in the Verde Valley for 27 years and love the community. I'm hearing a lot of fear tonight. I'm hearing a lot of people who love children. And I just want to say that I worked in a child abuse shelter for 8 years. I was the assistant director in Flagstaff. I'm not going to run on about the horrors of what happens and what you see in a child abuse shelter and what kind of things happen to children, as you can all imagine or have read. I will say that not one of the families that we worked with or that the children came from identified as coming from the LGBTQ community. They identified as straight families, and those children were groomed in a way that nobody here wants children to be groomed. I don't see that happening. I've been to a few drag shows. I don't see that kind of grooming happening at the drag shows. I see a lot of talent and artistry and entertainment. I appreciate you considering this and listening to all of us for these long hours, and good luck to you on your decision. I am just speaking in favor of letting that continue. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. So Clyde and Gail Bangiola, I believe is his name, didn't want to speak, but they are opposed. We have Laura Lee. Are you with us this evening, Laura Lee? No, I don't know where she stands on that. Didn't check a box. Isaac Bills. Are you with us this evening, Isaac Bills? Okay. And then you'll be followed by Lorraine Holmes. Good evening.
Hello, hello. Sorry, it was a long walk. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for being here. I was not expecting to be here. And really, I feel like the reason I'm here is to just basically tell you that I am for theatrics. I grew up as a theater kid, always dwelling in the realm of comedy and being on stage under the lights and all that kind of stuff, and I loved it, and I'm always for it. But I've seen a lot under the curtain of drag, and it's sexualized. I've even dwelled in the realm of dressing up as a woman and performing on stage, but this is all about the kids. And I just think that kids are too young and too naive to really understand a lot. I worked as a child entertainer for a really long time, and a lot of them have come up to me with a lot of questions regarding what gender they are after watching a show of a man dressed up as a woman. And it's sad. It's really sad. Really, all the truth that we ever have to know in our entire life is in the Bible, and anything outside of that just leads to a lifelong of just confusion and hatred towards other people. So I'm just telling you right now that I'm for theatrics. I'm for anybody who ever wants to see anybody entertain but I'm not for anybody who's trying to sexualize anything that's supposed to be for entertainment purposes only. So I feel really strongly about that. As an entertainer, I work with children. I plan on working with children my entire life. And anything that is put in front of their eyes that makes them confused or deranged or sad makes me sad. And I'm sure I can speak for the rest of a lot of us. So thank you.
Thank you. And last, we have Lorraine Holmes. Are you with us?
Hi.
Good evening.
I'm glad you guys are listening tonight. I didn't plan to speak, but we've moved here within the last year and a half, and I've lived in Washington, Oregon, California, and now Arizona. And I have been, my late husband and I were victims of being accused of my husband being a sexual molester in Oregon. And it was not true, but since no evidence was found, he was placed on the sexual molester profile and under all the things that you have to do when you're given that designation. It really irks me when things are said for the children, because this was a child who lied, and we had taken her into our home, and we had tried to love her and care for her over a period of 15 years. I am not in favor of this show with kids allowed. I have never shown any anger or disrespect to anybody, no matter what their orientation is. I really hate, and that's the word I would use, is hate, being called somebody who hates when I have not hated or shown hatred to anybody. Because I am a Christian, I have been a Christian since I was 9, I believe that we are to be treated with respect, everybody, and to take care of our world. And so I just wanted to be here and to say, we don't hate. We may not like what somebody does, but I don't hate people. So even though I felt for a long time I didn't trust the law enforcement, since I saw and was not treated with what I thought was respect and fairness. So that's me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Holmes. Appreciate it. Okay, with that, we'll close the floor to the public. Council, do we need a quick break? Yes. Okay, we're going to take a quick 5 minutes. We'll reconvene. What's that? Toad?
I'm not calling you Toad.
Oh.
You're Toad.
Okay, folks, we're going to go ahead and continue our regular meeting here. Thanks for giving us the opportunity for a quick recess. So, call of the public is now finished. We're going to go ahead and move on with the agenda. Next up is approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of March 21st, 2023, and the special meeting of March 15th, 2023. And I would motion to approve those minutes.
Second.
Okay, Mayor made the motion. DeWillis was quick to second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Minutes are approved, and we move on to the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine and non-controversial by the council, will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. We have 9 items this evening under consent. First up is resolution number 3165, affirming a fair housing policy, making known the city's commitment to the principle of fair housing and describing actions to affirmatively further fair housing. Item 2 is resolution number 3166, authorizing the submission of a grant proposal in connection with the Governor's Office of Highway Safety fiscal year 2024 funding cycle for selective traffic enforcement patrol overtime expenses and police vehicle. Item 3 is resolution number 3167, authorizing the police department to submit a fiscal year 2024 grant proposal to the Governor's Office of Highway Safety seeking funds to cover overtime expenses associated with the department's DUI impaired driving enforcement. Item 4 is proposed cooperative use of contract between the League of Oregon Cities and LensLock, Inc. for body-worn and in-car camera systems and data services for the Cottonwood Police Department. Item 5 is personnel lease agreement between Verde Valley Ambulance Company and the City of Cottonwood Fire Department. Item 6 is professional services agreement with FPA Limited, doing business as Fireworks Productions of Arizona for the city's 4th of July fireworks show. Item 7, approving a utility easement with Arizona Public Service Company for the installation of an electrical transformer and related facilities to serve Lot 109 and 112 Cottonwood Air Park. Item 8, new liquor license application, beer and wine store for Ginger Flaherty, applicant for Vina Zona located at 1012 North Main Street. Item 9 is a new liquor license application, 007 beer and wine bar for Ginger Flaherty, I'm getting the name wrong, I'm sure, applicant for Vino Zona located at 1012 North Main Street. Is there an item that a council member or member of the public would like to have pulled? If not, I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, Mayor made the motion, council, or Vice Mayor seconded it. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's approved, and let's have our deputy clerk read resolutions number 3165, 3166, and 3167 by title only, please.
Resolution number 3165, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, affirming a fair housing policy, making known their commitment to the principle of fair housing, and describing actions they shall undertake to affirmatively further fair housing. Resolution number 3166, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, authorizing the submission of a grant proposal in connection with the Governor's Office of Highway Safety fiscal year 2024 funding cycle for selective traffic enforcement, patrol overtime expenses, and a police vehicle. And resolution number 3167, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, authorizing the Police Department to submit a fiscal year 2024 grant proposal to the Governor's Office of Highway Safety, seeking funds to cover overtime expenses associated with the department's DUI impaired driving enforcement.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, new business. The following items are for council discussion, consideration, and possible legal action. First up is special event liquor license application submitted by Julie L. Fernat, applicant for the Arizona Pride Tour 2023, event scheduled for April 8th, 2023 at the Cottonwood Community Clubhouse located at 805 North Main Street.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As you just mentioned, this is the special event liquor license for the Arizona Pride Tour to take place at the Cottonwood Community Clubhouse. And want to go ahead and I'll give the council an opportunity to go ahead and go over the item and discuss it if necessary, and then move from there whether to approve or disapprove the item.
Okay, great. As I said at the beginning of the meeting during call to the public, I won't be asking for members to speak on this, either the applicant or people for or against this item. And my reasoning is because, as you saw under consent agenda, we normally don't discuss these. Served for 17 years on council, and I can't recall a single time when we've had the public address us on this item. So we're not going to do that tonight as well. Council is going to discuss this and vote on it. And the reason why it is under new business and not under the consent agenda really is for the consent agenda is for those items that are considered to be routine and non-controversial. And obviously there's a lot of controversy around this particular item, which is why you see it under new business. So I'll go ahead and lead off and just say that I have grave concerns about allowing alcohol to be served at this event, given the fact that we've sat through 4 meetings of hour and a half to 2 hours of folks very disturbed by this event. I know that many will be protesting at the event, and I just can't, in good conscience, responsibly, I feel, allow alcohol to be served at an event which unfortunately has drawn so much controversy around it. So for me, it's a public safety issue. It is unfortunate that it has become such a hot button issue, but I do know that alcohol impairs judgment, lowers inhibitions and these things, and I just can't, in good conscience, in my opinion at least, allow for alcohol to be served at an event such as this. There's not a condemnation on this program. I would feel the same, quite frankly, if it were a contentious event of any nature. This is unusual. We haven't had an event like this come to Cottonwood, and so these are unusual circumstances. But again, that's where I stand on this.
And I, as Vice Mayor, am also concerned for the safety issue, and in hopes that this will somehow help keep down the safety issues that may or may not arise, I am also against this.
I concur. Due to public safety and concerns, I don't see a reason to grant a license at this time.
Okay, I finally got it to turn on. That's okay. Do you want to go first?
I'll just be quick. I was going to say, I agree that I do not agree with, I oppose the license. Safety issues and other things, I think as a community, for me, being in the community, I oppose.
Could you pick that up? Okay, great.
Okay, and I feel very much the same way as you do, Mr. Mayor. My concerns are solely for public safety, given how controversial this issue is, that there will be protesting going on, and alcohol does lower your inhibitions and cause people to do things they wouldn't normally do. You know, that's a fact. So I am not in favor of having alcohol at this event either. And if we need to make a motion, I'd be happy to make one.
That's fine.
I move to deny the special event liquor license application submitted by Julie Alfernat, applicant for the Arizona Pride Tour 2023 event, scheduled for April 8th, 2023 at the Cottonwood Community Clubhouse located at 805 North Main Street.
Second.
Okay, Councilmember Nairn made the motion. Vice Mayor seconded it. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember DeWillis?
No.
Councilmember Duvernay?
No.
Councilmember Hinton, is absent. Councilmember Karat?
Wait, how did you word that?
I move to deny the special event liquor license application.
Oh, no.
Now I'm confused.
No, I am confused.
I think maybe we are a little confused. Can you help us out?
Right, no, I heard the motion as a move to deny, and then we were having the vote for, we've had 3 no's, 4 no's?
So,
3 no's.
But are those are no's to not deny?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, that's the confusion.
That's where
I
I'm
mean,
confused.
If you move to approve and you said no, then you would be denying the application. You're moving to deny.
Right.
Moving
And
to
so that would be
deny the
opposing the
application.
denial.
Right.
A no is an opposition to the denial.
So we gotta say yes, is what you're saying.
If you want, yes, if you
Right.
want to deny the application, then yes, because the motion
Gotcha.
is to deny.
Okay.
Then I want to change and say yes.
Let's start over.
Yeah.
Start
This
the roll call
is-
back over.
The The way it's worded is really confusing, and I apologize.
No, that's fine.
That's all right. Why don't you go ahead and start over with the motion? Same motion, we'll just
Okay.
be a little more
I'll just
sharp.
say it again. I move to deny the special event liquor license application submitted by Julie L. Fernat, applicant for the Arizona Pride Tour 2023 event, scheduled for April 8th, 2023, at the Cottonwood Community Clubhouse located at 805 North Main Street.
Second.
Okay, so there was a motion made by Councilmember Naren and seconded by our vice mayor. So let's then have a roll call vote.
Councilmember DeWillis,
Yes, I wish to deny for public safety concerns.
Councilmember Duvernay. Councilmember Karat,
No.
Councilmember Naren,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilden,
Yes.
and Mayor Linsky.
Yes. Okay, so
And the
the,
motion carries.
okay, great. And I'll just say, no, I really don't want any applause. Thank you very much. I just, we all conducted ourselves really well these last 4 meetings. Would we all agree? I would hope the day of the event, we continue that good behavior and conduct ourselves very well. Okay? Allow the event. Okay? But conduct ourselves civilly. Okay? Thank you. All right, resolution number 3168 is up next, approving a minor amendment to the city's general plan, changing the land use designation for approximately 4.2 acres of land located on the northeast corner of South 7th Street and East Aspen Street, 185 and 195 South 7th Street, from MR medium density residential to HR high density residential. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I'm Tina Hayden for Community Development, and I am presenting the minor general plan amendment and the zone change application together for the Verde Plaza Apartments renovation and expansion project. This is the land use map. The site in the hash marks is the project site. It is currently designated as MR, medium density residential. That allows up to 11 units per acre. The request for a HR, high density residential, would allow up to 29 units per acre. And this is the zone change map. It's currently zoned as R2. We are requesting that it is changed to R3 zoning, again, to match the 29 units per acre for the high density residential. These are the project details that were presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission for design review. Some of the renovations include roof replacement of the existing buildings, exterior renovations, including wainscoting, expansion of the community room, upgrading of the playground and courtyards, upgrading the parking lot, and adding additional landscaping. Currently, there are 5 existing residential buildings with a mix of 24 one-bedroom units, 24 two-bedroom units, and 4 three-bedroom units. The current zoning does not allow the 2 new residential buildings with 18 units due to the density rules. If approved, the applicant proposes 6 two-bedroom units, 8 three-bedroom units, and 4 four-bedroom units. This is the site plan. The areas I have marked are the existing buildings. There are 5 residential and then the community room. All of them will have additions to each building, some storage for the residential areas, and the community building is looking to double in size. There is an existing retention basin. There are going to be improvements for that retention basin. These are the new proposed items. The 2 smaller boxes in the center are the sports court and the playground. And the 2 buildings at the north are the proposed residential buildings, the new ones. And again, if the zone change is not approved, these buildings would not be allowed. This is the new site plan. As you can see on the western border, which is the left side, and then the southern border at the bottom, they are proposing quite a bit of landscaping for this project. These are the elevations. These are the existing buildings 1 and 2. existing buildings 3 and 4, existing residential building 5, and the clubhouse. These are the 2 newly proposed buildings, 6 and 7. These are some design elements. They are looking at fiberglass shingles for the roof, additional new windows, stucco, re-stuccoing the building, and wainscoting for the buildings. They are currently been permitted to update the staircase and the upper portion due to safety hazards. And there's also going to be a new trail with the applicant dedicating the trail easement to city. Staff has compiled a list of recommendations and objectives in the general plan that do support the minor general plan amendment. The first one is in Chapter 4, Land Use, a recommendation for the Public Facilities Center area. This is to provide an improved plan for pedestrian and bicycle routes. These objectives encourage mixed-use development, compact centers comprised of residential and recreational uses. And then last objective is to encourage infill development and redevelopment. These stipulations were presented to the Planning and Zoning Commission for design review. They are not attached to the minor general plan amendment or the zone change. The first one is that the project be developed in conformance. A second item regarding conformity to code review board comments. Third, the walking path and the dedicated public trail easement. Fourth, regarding exterior lighting. Fifth, regarding landscaping. The sixth stipulation regarding signage. Seventh, regarding addressing and street names. 8, regarding building permit application submittal within 24 months of approval. 9 is a stipulation regarding the 18 additional residential units. The approval for this is contingent on the, if and when the effective date for the proposed zone change. And then 10 is a stipulation that the Planning and Zoning Commission added, that the applicant come back to discuss the sidewalk along 7th Street. The applicant has started those discussions and we are working on that.
Can you go into a little bit of detail about what their concerns were on the 7th Street sidewalk?
They wanted it to be upgraded. Currently, the applicant is proposing removing the existing sidewalk and replacing it. They had proposed a 5-foot width sidewalk. Staff did inform them that it would be a minimum of 6-foot width.
Okay.
And then before I go on, I did want to mention that the project did originally require 126 parking spaces. The applicant did request a parking reduction, and staff approved it for 95 parking spaces based on what the applicant presented to us. And then I have 13 pictures to show you, and if you want me to speed up, let me know. This is on site, looking east on Aspen Street, and looking west on Aspen Street, looking north on 7th Street. And properties to the south, we have some commercial PAD here. City buildings to the west. Properties to the north, that is multifamily housing there. It's HR density, high density residential. Properties to the east. And then this is on the vacant parcel looking south. This parcel and the parcel with the existing buildings will be required to have a lot combination. This is a view of the parking lot looking southeast. And courtyard looking to the northeast. And the courtyard looking south. And the detention basin. And the courtyard looking east. And that concludes my presentation. I am ready for any questions. The applicant is here if you have any questions for them.
Okay, great. Any questions for Ms. Hayden?
Quick question. Is there, if I missed it, is there a sidewalk plan for down Aspen on the south side?
I believe there is an existing sidewalk there.
I didn't see one. That's the reason I asked. Down, if you're looking down Aspen,
Mhm.
I didn't see a sidewalk on the north side.
On the north side?
On the north side.
Sorry, Vice Mayor Wilden, I think you're referring to the south side running along Aspen?
Can you back up to the
No,
photos?
north side. Well, depends on how you look at it, but, go back to the pictures.
Yes.
Yeah, go back to pictures.
Oh, the picture.
Down Aspen. Okay,
So that's west, sorry, this one.
right there. That's Aspen.
Correct.
And there's no sidewalk there gonna be planned?
I was not aware of any discussion
Okay,
for that sidewalk.
And all along that street, there's just sidewalk on the one side, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Any other questions for Ms. Hayden?
I move to approve Resolution 3168.
Second?
Okay, Councilmember DeWillis made the motion and Vice Mayor seconded it. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember DeWillis?
Yes.
Councilmember Duvernay?
Yes.
Councilmember Karat?
Yes.
Councilmember Naren?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilden?
Yes?
And Mayor Linsky?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
All right, please read resolution number 3168 by title only.
Resolution number 3168, a resolution of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, approving a minor amendment to the city's general plan, changing the land use designation for approximately 4.2 acres of land located on the northeast corner of South 7th Street and East Aspen Street, 185 and 195 South 7th Street, from MR medium density residential to HR high density residential.
Item 3 under new business is ordinance number 732, amending the zoning map for 2 parcels of land. Assessor parcel numbers 406-42-169 and 406-42-170A, located at 185 and 195 South 7th Street, to change the zoning classification from R2, single-family, multifamily, to R3, multiple family residential. This is the first reading. Ms. Hayden pretty much covered everything. Are there anything else the council wants to bring up? We do have the applicant here. If the applicant would like to address council, you're more than welcome to. There's no pressure.
Good afternoon, council. Good evening, Mayor. I just wanted to give a little clarification. There is no currently a sidewalk on Aspen Street, and we are already proposing to put one in there, so that is going in there. The item that came up on 7th Street, it was already there, so we weren't planning on replacing it. Planning and zoning asked us to. The current owner is looking into it and it's getting priced to see if it can fit within budget. This is an affordable housing project. It's partially funded by the USDA grants and stuff like that, so there's a lot of rules that we have to follow with that and everything, so we're just trying to make everybody as happy as possible, and so if we can afford it, we'll be expanding all the sidewalks we can.
Okay.
So,
Great.
thank you very much for your time.
Your name, sir? I didn't catch it.
Andrew Cheddar with EDOS Architects.
Great. Thank you very much for being here. Okay, this is first reading. Is there anyone here from the public that would like to address the council on this item? If not, that's that. Have you read ordinance number 732, and we'll bring it back in a couple weeks for a vote.
Ordinance number 732, an ordinance of the Mayor and City Council of the City of Cottonwood, Yavapai County, Arizona, amending the zoning map of the City of Cottonwood, Arizona for parcels of land, APNs 406-42169 and 406-42170A, so as to change certain district boundaries and classifications thereof from the present zoning designation of R2 single-family multifamily to R3 multifamily residential.
Okay, thank you. All right, item 4 is approval of a part-time contract with Steve Horton Esquire for temporary legal services. Evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Amanda Wilbur, HR Director. We had a discussion in February about legal services for this city, and at that time, I reminded council that Steve Horton at that time had planned on retiring from full-time employment on March 3rd. Since that time, we've had a few changes to the discussion items that we had talked about. One, Steve Horton is still here full-time at the moment, partially to help make sure the city is really taken care of in this gap period. So because he's still employed full-time with us, he is looking to drop his hours down still to a part-time status, but in a different method that we had thought we could possibly do previously. So this current contract proposes about half-time employment with Steve. The dollar amounts reflect that. Council tonight really has a couple options. So the first one that staff recommends is to approve a contract to hire Steve Horton as a part-time co-counselor, basically on a month-to-month basis until we are ready to go with our new full-time city attorney that we are in the process of hiring, and making sure they are really ready to go and have what they need from Steve to make a smooth transition. We would continue to utilize Pierce Coleman during that time to make up the other half of the services. Of course, if council did not want to continue to employ Steve Horton in a part-time capacity, we could look to Pierce Coleman for full-time services in the gap period between Steve full-time and, well, Steve's already kind of transitioning to part-time at the moment because we have Pierce Coleman representation tonight. So really before council is the option to hire Steve Horton or not. Part of the reason that would be helpful to staff is that it would be consistent. We would have a consistent person throughout this gap period. The salary savings are almost non-existent when we are using an outside firm, but we would be paying Steve significantly less for a part-time position than we would be full-time. Approximately a part-time position for Steve would cost about $12,000 a month if you factor in all of the other taxes and benefits and things like that that go along with this. The one other thing I wanted to touch on that we had discussed previously, we had talked about a flat fee contract with Pierce Coleman, and I addressed that in the council communication form that based on what we are currently seeing in the city, that isn't really feasible at this time, so we've continued to move along the hourly rate basis, which has not really changed any of the services that we've gotten. So I know I was a little bit all over the place in this presentation, but if council has any questions about the contract itself or what it would mean to hire Steve back as a part-time employee, I am open for questions.
Great. Council, do we have any questions? I just have one question. Just explain it to me under the
Sure.
agreement that's here. He's paid $4,000 biweekly. Just help me square that up with the $12,000. Is that because on top of that it's costing us $12,000 because we're paying our share of the taxes, et cetera?
Yes,
Okay.
that's part of it. The way Arizona State Retirement System works as well is that once you're in Arizona State Retirement System for a fiscal year, you have to continue on for that entire fiscal year unless you are actually retiring from the system, which he is not completely retiring from that system. So that also increases that amount because Arizona State Retirement System is at a 12.17% contribution rate right now.
Okay. No, the agreement looks good to me. I think this is a great way to bridge from one attorney to the next. Obviously, he's been here forever and a day, so he knows what's going on, and there's some things that would really help the new attorney know when Steve gets here, or when the new attorney gets here, so Steve can keep the balls rolling. Anything else, council? I'll entertain a motion.
Okay. I move to approve the proposed legal services agreement to employ Steve Horton to perform the duties of the city attorney on a part-time basis.
Second.
Okay, Mayor made the motion, or excuse me, Councilmember Naren made the motion, and Councilmember Karat seconded it. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember DeWillis?
Yes.
Councilmember Duvernay? Yes. Councilmember Karat?
Yes.
Councilmember Naren?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Wilden?
Yes.
Mayor Linsky?
Yes.
And the motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, monthly financial report, November 2022. Let's get you up here to speak about this for half an hour, so if you don't mind. Kidding. No, kidding. Everything looked good to me. Thank you very much. Any concerns, questions, council? No, okay, all right. Claims adjustments, I'll motion to pay those.
Second.
Okay, Mayor made the motion, Councilmember Karat seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, and I'm motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, Mayor made the motion, DeWillis seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you, council.